So in this video, we're going to do a short crash course on the chemicals in cells. So when we think about chemicals, we can group them into two big groups, organic and inorganic. Let's just dispense with the inorganic chemicals first of all. That's anything without complex carbon in it. And examples include the ones listed there, like water and salts. And be really careful not to refer to them just as nutrients, because in terms of biology, this is not specific enough. But they're usually dissolved and they move around in our blood and add minor functions to things like enzymes or active groups in compounds like hemoglobin. So you need iron in the middle of that, for example. We're going to concentrate a little bit more on organic chemicals. These are chemicals formed around complex chains of carbon molecules with other elements added in too. Now, first group is carbohydrates. So two main categories, small and soluble, that's the sugars, and large and insoluble, and that is things like cellulose, starch, and glycogen. So the small soluble sugars, you'll see them named there, things like glucose, fructose, sucrose. You might have heard of lactose or maltose. These are really important energy molecules, so we can put them through our mitochondria and release stored chemical energy from them, but they have other uses too. So they form the components of glycoproteins and glycolipids and help with cell recognition and cell connectivity, so sticking our cells together. There's also important parts of our bones and connective tissues that need sugars in them. The complex carbohydrates that are not sweet have either structural or storage functions. So starch and glycogen are storage molecules, whereas cellulose, so they store carbohydrates in starch in plants and glycogen in our liver in animals, and cellulose is what plant cell walls are made out of, so it's a structural carbohydrate. Next, lipids. Lipids are similar chemical composition to carbohydrates, but they have slightly less oxygen, and this is the posh name for fats. But it also includes, so fats would be solid at room temperature, oils, which are liquid at room temperature, and then other things such as waxes and steroids, like cholesterol, and phospholipids, which are in cell membranes. So they have water repellent properties, which makes them great for things like cell membranes. They also insulate for electricity, so myelin sheath wrapped around nerve cells to make nerves go quickly. They are the basis of hormones, some of our fatty hormones, things like testosterone and estrogen. They also provide physical protection as well as thermal protection. Plant scents are made out of lipids, so you can attract insects. And obviously you can store lipids for energy release later on when needed. Proteins is our third big organic chemical group. These are very large molecules formed by linking many small subunits called amino acids together. And proteins can provide transport functions, things like hemoglobin, catalysis, so all our enzymes are made out of proteins, protection, so our antibodies are protein molecules. You can store some protein molecules. Sensitivity, so we have receptors and we have detecting light. Those are in the back of our eye, in our retina. They are proteins, the rhodopsins and things like that. Structural proteins like collagen in our nose and keratin in our hair and in our skin. And also coordination. So some of our hormones are proteins, like insulin, for example, is a protein hormone. And the last organic chemical group that we will talk about is nucleic acids. The two big components of that are DNA and RNA. The N and the A stand for nucleic acid. And joining these the building blocks, which are called nucleotides, together gives us a big stable molecule for DNA, which is all part of our hereditary material. There are several different types of RNA, and they are involved to some extent or other in passing the message of DNA into our cells in a way that can be turned into protein, and the message can be used as our cell goes about its everyday. We'll learn a lot more about DNA and RNA in the Year 12 modules. So those are our chemicals in cells, a kind of quick crash course for biologists. And we're going to meet quite a lot of these chemicals as we move forward with Module 1, looking at membrane structure and function and enzymes.